Howdy folks, for this video I'm thinking of Ep 2, Attack of the Clones, as a moment of Star Wars culture as it progresses. And I actually posted on Twitter about this. A buddy of mine saw it. We were bouncing ideas off of each other via text. It was a whole thing. It was what was happening this morning as I was rewatching Attack of the Clones for yet again, although Attack of the Clones is probably my least rewatched film, although interestingly, it is the one that I've seen the most times in theaters. The reason being, it was at that moment right when I was in high school, but before I got my license. So I had a job, but I didn't have any way to really spend that cash. So I was just walking to the movie theaters with all my buddies after school, and we just watched Attack of the Clones again and again and again. Same thing with the first Lord of the Rings. I saw that in theaters 11 times, but it was just because I had cash, but no like car, no way to spend it except on BS like that. Go to the movies, why not? The idea with this one is that it comes out, we get this real Sithy subtlety going on. Behind the scenes is this Palpatine attempting to take over the Senate. We're having Dooku, former Jedi, become a Sith Lord Tyrannus, right? We're having all of these pieces fall together. We're seeing Sith being about the long game. We're seeing like the rule of two play out. We saw Maul go down, and we see that Tyrannus is there, and Maul becomes more of this like Sith assassin, like fake apprentice. You get a lot of stuff where the Sith rule of two is in play, but they're playing all these games and keeping side apprentices. If you get into some of the side stuff around this time, Dooku even has his own like secret apprentice thing going on. It's a whole thing. So what you have is this moment where the original inception of the film by itself seems to play very well with this Sith politic thing, this making moves, this doing this or that or this or that, right? You see how Palpatine has been maneuvering politically this whole time to then convince someone to nominate him for chancellor, right? To then just give him all of these emergency powers, right? He convinces Jar Jar as this person who's standing in for Padme, who he would have been able to maneuver her as well. So he has all of these machinations happening, and it's really cool, really interesting, because this Sith thing is unfolding as a political and not so much that like Jedi versus Sith confrontation we're thinking about, right? Where you get this big dramatic fight of Maul versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and the entire structure of everything is this visceral, primal, terrifying Maul face as this conflict unfolds in the most extremely invigorating lightsaber battle in the history of the franchise. And it turns out that the big money-making Sith are these individuals who are just really playing it close to the vest, playing it really political. They see this imperial presence as this Sith ability, right? So what's happening is too subtle to really catch the Jedi. In fact, it might very well be that Maul's presence coming forward in this way is actually a diversion, is to play into this Sith aggression, this Sith forwardness, and it really can be drawing attention away. So what we have are a few cool things happening, and in this moment I'm really thinking about how we get the rise of the clone army, where you have Dooku is this person that recruits as Tyrannus, Darth Tyrannus, right? He recruits Jango Fett as the prime clone material, right? So that he is this specimen that then they can adapt to the needs of those who order the clones. So he recruits Django, and this led me for many years to understand the place of Sifo Dyas as actually this persona that is adopted by Dooku. So Sifo Dyas, real Jedi in his own right, Jedi dies, and then the clone army kind of manifests based on this guy's name. And to me, it always seemed to be that Sifo Dyas was actually something that Dooku took on. So he's recruiting as Tyrannus. He's building this army as Sifo Dyas. And he's actually working under the guise of all of these other things on behalf of Palpatine. He would be the one who is going in and deleting Kamino from the records, right? None but a Jedi could have done that. And we're talking about this whole like Jedi couldn't have done this. He's Dooku. He was a former Jedi. It's not in his nature to be this evil type of thing, to be this bad person. But here he is a Sith. And so there was all of this stuff. And then somewhere along the line, we make it so that Sifo Dyas in the Clone Wars, in the Dooku book, Sifo Dyas is the one who actually goes and gets the army made itself. So it's actually Sifo Dyas. And I thought this was a weird moment where Star Wars starts to revise things, starts to lock things down. And this is the nature of Star Wars altogether. This is actually probably the biggest driving reason why Disney would make the extended universe just non-canonical, part of Legends, which is a cool concept because it doesn't undo everything. It just says these are the legends. And so it's almost like a mythology in Star Wars. So it's like, oh yeah, Mace Windu once did this thing. No, that's a legend. It may have happened. It may not have happened. Here's only the things we can gather for sure. And we start to gather a little more utility towards those things. But what we are seeing is that these texts then get created, sometimes decades later. And what you're seeing is that it's solidifying things in the films. It's saying that there is this space and there are these stories we want to tell. And as you start to tell these stories, these other things happen in a more solidified, less mysterious way. And so I think that this is one of those moments where, yeah, by telling that story on the other end, you may have actually weakened the Attack of the Clones story, where if Sifo Dyas is the one actually gathering the army, we're losing this thematic notion of the Sith as this subtle, subterfuge-based class, identity, force wielder, adherent of the force. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit because this is Star Wars, right? As much as I would if I had written the stories, and I think I should be, right? Like I think I should be on that, like that crew that verifies continuity in Star Wars. So if any of you out there have a way to hook me up with that, I'm in. Consider all these YouTube videos as a resume. No. So the idea is that as we move forward and forward and forward with Star Wars, we are refining our relationship to the other films, to the events that happen. And sometimes it does an amazing thing. Other times it does nothing. Other times it really forces a version of something that may or may not have been intended. It's interesting how the authors are functioning with all of this material. And I bring it up because it's something that you folks can work with as well. You are going to be charting a relationship to the Star Wars material. You've already started because of this course. This course speaks to wanting more, an additional mode of relating to the wars. And this is how you start to formulate the assignments for this course, be they discussion board posts, your seminar paper, or your contribute to the culture project. So I really wanted to just bring you in so that you can start to think about the scope of the Star Wars films as just bleeding out into all of these other things, and then all of this stuff kind of recirculating back to give the films meaning in other ways. And this is a wonderful way to function with Star Wars, and also one of the more jarring moments for fans, because there's the way we interpret things, and then we get all of this other stuff. And I hope we don't get back to it, but before episode 7, we had a weird system for managing levels of canon. We actually had levels of canon where something can be more and less canonical than something else. And this is a problematic moment because, well, how do you be less canon? And then how do you decide? And the way we did it was there was G-level canon, which was George Lucas. All of the things George Lucas verified, right? And this was a lot of things. Many of the novels went personally through Lucas. He had the final word on what happened in these novels, and authors were there working with him to get things available or not. A bunch of people tried to kill off Han Solo, and Lucas was just like, no. Okay, and then they would roll through the list of who you could kill. And at one point, they killed Chewbacca because Lucas was like, you know what? Okay, you want that gravitas, that weight of one of the big characters killed off? Chewie, right? And so you had this like G-level canon. You had underneath it, G-level canon was obviously the films, right? Those were the original text, the unimpeachable text. Anything that happened in the films happened for realsies, right? Then the novels as they go through, Lucas himself. And then there's kind of like, you could argue that the novels that did other things that maybe didn't go as Lucas driven, but only went through Lucasfilm, right? Those are less canonical. All the way down to like video game canon, right? And this was one of the weird moments where you started arguing about things where it's like, oh, this character can carry 6 thermal detonators in this video game. So she can carry 6 thermal detonators in real life. She carries 6. And it's like, well, maybe we're getting a little off the rails there, but this is Star Wars. It is an entire galaxy, and here we are trying to wrap our heads around it. So thinking of Star Wars as a cultural space by itself, as this epic narrative, right? This term we have from back in the first couple weeks, this epic narrative, this large pile of text that all interrelates, all works with each other, all revisits everything. It references, it brings things forward, it changes perspectives, it has competing perspectives. This is the heart of Star Wars. This is why a Star Wars class, right? How can it be a class in and of itself? And I hold that it could be an entire degree in and of itself. I think we should be giving out bachelor's, master's, and PhDs in Star Wars studies. I mean, I don't know. I'll do what I can, gang. That's my promise. Any opportunity I get to make that happen, I will do it. I will do everything I can. I will take every swing I have and try and hit that home run of getting us a Star Wars department. I'll go for it. I promise. I'll let y'all know if it happens. Until then, you'll have to deal with me in the vids and on the boards. I'll see y'all there.